Yes, praise him, praise him. Glory! Hey, welcome to the Elders Corner. If this your first time over here on the corner, hi, I am Nestor Holistic. And over here is where reality and spirituality meet with a little bit of holistic flavor. How y'all doing? What's good? What's up, big homies? What's up, OGs? There's a lot going on, honey. I don't know if I told you. Oh, the card popped. Today's prayer. Let's see what the word of the Lord has for us. Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord, and whatever you do, he will establish your plans. The word of the Lord is already blessed. What up, homies? It's a somber time. Like, I don't know if y'all paid attention, but I posted about my spiritual mother. And I wanted to name this topic Back Down Memory Lane, but I really want to talk about the sacrifices of people who sacrifice and the people who receive it, deem it a non-valuable sacrifice. A non-valuable sacrifice. Boom. That's our title. A non-valuable sacrifice. So, it was Tiny James, as I met her, but she's always been Pastor Tiny James. When I first got to New York, and God was reestablishing me, and I was coming out of situations, and the Lord planted me. When He planted me, it was more of a spiritual walk during that time with her. She was, for me, from now, she from the old school, so it was about getting in contact and being in the presence of the Lord. That was her focal, praying, laying before the Lord, constant communication, and then she always taught on your behavior. She always taught on things you shouldn't do as people of God. And she comes up with all of these different themes for years, 20, 30, 41 years. She comes up with these things of her encounter with God during prayer. Okay? And so, when I got established, I started there. The Lord blessed my family. He established my family. Then it was time for me to go learn. And so in learning, I went to First Corinthian Baptist Church, but she has always been my spiritual mother. I always went over to her. I always, my anointing oil comes off her altar. She just always been that ear. So I was at First Corinthian, and every time she had a big event, I would make sure that I came to the house. And so, that went on for years. I raised my kids in the Baptist Association, and then my brother he wasn't really establishing himself. He was working in the church, and he invited me, and it was something different from what I was accustomed to, and it was a little bit more easier versus the commitment that you have to make getting from the Bronx to Manhattan on Sunday morning to find parking, to get in. It's a lot, and it was a lot more easier. And so, I started doing that. I never left First Corinthian. At one point, I was just sending my tithes over there, paying tithes over here, paying tithes over there, just to stay in it, which I'm still in the loop, still in the emails, still a part of what they do. I'm just not there in servitude. While that process was happening, I ended up, with my brother and watching him build God vision. So that's where By Faith Ministry comes in. And during that time, when we were in the campgrounds, the Lord provided again, and we ended up back home. And it was like a full circle. And so our ministry started and birthed right out of, Eric's vision that God had and Mama's spirituality. And so we did that, and then Eric left. And y'all know the story we talked about. We even understand that this podcast is a continuation of the vision that the Lord has given my brother. Like I said, our motto, we was to reintroduce the ministry of Jesus Christ to a forgotten nation. And so this is something we stood on. This is something that we declared every Sunday. And so in that, we were more Bible learning and taught and teaching. And Mama was more spiritual. And so, that happened. And then when Eric left, she was like, you got to get yourself together because you can't lead in this condition. And so what I did not see was what she seen, in that moment. And so, she has always been a staple in my... I did baby dedications, and my godchildren was blessed in there. And, there's so many works under her supervision. She always wanted us to be her outreach ministry. She always, you got to let Mama be Mama. It's a thing where in today's time that the youth don't understand the sacrifices of our ancestors or our elders or our seniors. And you have some of them need to work on their behavior and attitude and disposition. But the sacrifice that was made. Now, let's be clear, okay? I'm talking about bloodline. I'm talking about where you came from. I'm talking about even from slavery. People of color wasn't even considered a human. We was a piece of property. It was insurance on our lives as Africans getting to America. A lot of them people died before they even got. Millions died before they got to America. And in the midst of that, they dropped them off in Cuba, and they dropped some Africans off in the Caribbean so that they can preserve the life and go back over them. Slavery weren't just picking cotton. Okay? They had nigger fighting. They made the strongest of the strongest fight against each other, and they bet on them to the deaths. That was a sport, a money maker. They had breeding camps. Sons sometimes could have been having sex with their mothers because they would separate them, make them mate, have the child, make them mate. Listen, a lot of such stuff, voting rights, and people dying, and Jim Crow, and redlining, okay? And then you have people, I'm talking about this because I want us to understand the sacrifices that people make them non-valuable. It's only non-valuable to somebody who utilized the blessing, right? And have no gratitude. And have no reverence for what somebody has done to make a way for you. And to make sure that the one come behind you still have a way. I asked in several episodes of this podcast, I asked, where is our black leaders? Where they at? Where is the ones that's really going to fight for us? And most of them come out of the churches or the mosque. Okay? The Black Panthers were the only militia group, but they were educated and they were militant. Okay? But the rest of them activists and those black leaders, right? came out the church, came out the mosque. Where they at? And so when we ask where they at, we got to start looking in these churches and say, who are we raising up to lead God's people? Who has God chosen for a time like this? Because the people in trouble. We have so many distractions. Social media, the news will lie right in your face. The non-colored people will provocate right before you. They will, with a straight face, and make you think you're crazy. They do. They do it every day. They do it every day. You watch the news. Did y'all know that they just walked across the Selma Bridge again? Millions of people, leaders, because of what the Supreme Court has done. So all the people that died, all the people that got attacked by dogs and hung, because y'all won't vote. Y'all won't vote. I say all this is the same way how my spiritual mother has taught us to carry on God's work. Right? She's gone. But she raised us up to carry it on. She taught us to carry it on. Who are we teaching to carry it on? And we got to stop playing in God's house. Y'all. It's our place of healing. It's a place of restoration. It's a place of building. It's a place of growth. You're supposed to be imperfect so God can make you perfect. God will make you perfect through Jesus Christ. He'll make you perfect. And we got to understand the sacrifice God made for the world. And do we have reverence for the work that Jesus did in his sacrifice? Is it a non-valuable sacrifice to you? Well, you're saying that now, so you're saying that? What, non-valuable? What you mean? Non-valuable is when you don't have reverence or gratitude for something somebody did for you that you couldn't have did or you wouldn't have done, and you made away, and then it stops at you. You made their sacrifice non-valuable. I got into it with someone that I thought was really close to me. We still close. We just get into it. Friends and family go through it. And I said, baby, you need to get up and go vote. My vote doesn't count. I said, well, then don't send your children to school. Don't drive a car. You don't deserve a partner. You understand? Because before voting rights, women had to walk around with their heads covered. Y'all better go read these history books that they're taking that they don't want us to know about. It was against the law to be beautiful and your hair be out. And then we start putting on these wigs and all this stuff, and our natural hairs, you rarely see it. And when you see it, the connotation that society gets, oh, that head nappy. That's what we say when we see a beautiful black woman with her hair out. Same eye snapping, these curls. You understand? The sacrifices that people make so that you have a way, it cannot stop with you. It didn't stop with Dr. Tiny James. Now it drips down to all that she has taught and touched. Right? It didn't stop with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and John Lewis. You know, it didn't stop there. It has to trickle down. It has to. You know what I'm saying? Even the sacrifices your parents or your grandparents made. Because remember, a couple years back. Listen, if I am half of it, 50 years before me, they were segregated. 1968 is when the right came into it. It didn't went into 1970 when it started happening. Come on. So, but it ain't stopped there. And it's not going to stop now. It's not going to stop now. And I'm going to need for us to break out of this, for real. Us, off the back of the most beautiful thing in the world, black woman. Off the back of the most stylish and the most educated in America. She's also the most hated. She's also the most hated. Okay? Now we got some wenches. They wenches. We got streetwalkers. They streetwalkers. But we got some queens. Some queens with the heart of God. You know? All of them is. You know, in their own way. You know? But off the back of them, the non-colored, including the brown ones. Right? Because the brown ones say they ain't black. I'm not black. Okay? The black ones, the queens, right? Off the back, all of them get rights. And they do not have gratitude. They do not have reverence for your sacrifice, your creativity. And I'm not talking about just to blow, just because if it weren't for the women, we would have these amazing men. Behind every amazing man, right, there's a queen. Look at Obama and Michelle. You know, look at Pastor Bryant and his wife, which is a doctor. Look at Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Scott. I mean, oh God, Jill Scott. I mean, well, her name is Jill, but it's Jill Biden. Behind every amazing strong man, there's an amazing woman, okay? And behind an amazing black one is a dynamic black woman, okay? But off the back of them, everybody get rights. After the backs of the blacks, you know, now we got immigration. They can come and do what they want. They get all the privilege. They get all the benefits. And then when it went down to the black woman or the white man, that told them they come from SHIT hole countries, that it was a floating garbage in the middle of the Pacific. He said this. The orange guy. You understand? And that's because we did not value the sacrifice. Because they said they ain't voting. And I told them, don't even send your children to school. Because with voting came those privileges. That you can have your own apartment. That you can buy property. That you can be married. That you can read. You can drive because of those voting rights. That made you a citizen. That made you a human. And it was our own kind that gutted it. Because he wanted it to stop with him. We have to think about the times that we are in. What about the sacrifice God made by sending his son to the world because he loved the world so much? The second Adam. I want to say to the sacrifice. The sacrifice was necessary. Thank you, YP. It was necessary. And those who does not see value in the blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifices of others, the Bible declares that there are people that are on this earth that are killing wood for hell. Yeah. You killing wood for hell. You know what a killing wood is? We used to call it in the South, go get them bits. Them little dry twigs in the woods you get to start your fire, your bonfire, or your grill. Them bits. You bits for the fire. You are the thing that's going to keep the hellfire going. My God, today. When you don't respect and honor the sacrifices that those who came before you, who made so that you're able to move forward, even down to our pastors and our apostles. You know what? They got to sacrifice to keep the church. Even when you don't pay tithe, they still got to pay the rent. Even when you don't come to church, they still got to open that door. Even when you think you're too good to sing this Sunday, you might have to get up there, or she might have to get up there and do praise and worship. And then you come and you want to jump on their pulpit, and you want papers, and you want this and you want that, and never once said thank you for the privilege to be trusted in something that you built. It's a privilege when people allow you, oh my God, on fertile ground that they have tilled. Amen. Listen, y'all. Let's start appreciating those who are around us. Those who made ways for some sacrifice for us. Those who love us beyond our faults. You know, beyond the things we've said and done. And they love us in eternity. You know, Apostle Dr. Tiny James, I love you, and I know you love me to eternity. And I am grateful for the lessons, and for the songs, and for the prophetics, and the prayers, and the things you put in me to carry on. You know, I'm grateful. Eric, for seeing it. Mama, for believing it. You understand? It's a privilege to those who sacrifice for our rights. I'm voting. I hope y'all voting. Early voting start June 3rd. Voting day is June 23rd. Find your polling sites. Make sure you got your ID just in case, and your voting card. And let's show the ones that do not value the sacrifice of its people that you are killing wood, and we no longer need your service. When you get to church, let your pastor and your leader know that. Thank you. Thank you for the prayers when I don't know you're praying. Thank you for thinking about me when nobody else is. Amen. Thank you for making sure these doors open so I have a place so I can worship and bring my friends to come praise God with you. Thank you. OG, you know I love you. You know. And I'm grateful for these relationships I'm building. I'm going to have a heart of gratitude for a little while. I think you should have one too. And start seeing value in the sacrifices that others have made so that you can fly. Listen, y'all, go be great. I'm going to see you. Well, listen, guys. I'm going to try to jump on here on Facebook so we can do reading on the corner. But there's so much going on to the holidays. Y'all know the 25th is Memorial Day, and so it's a lot of responsibility. So y'all, please forgive me. I'm going to try my best to be on here Friday at 12. But if not, listen, I'll see y'all next Wednesday. Listen, on the corner. And don't let nobody take your smile from you today. Later.